The world watched with bated breath, but what happened next stunned even the harshest critics. No one, neither diplomats nor viewers glued to their screens, could have predicted the storm that was about to unfold when Donald Trump tried to belittle India on the global stage. And yet, as tensions simmered, one man quietly prepared to rewrite the narrative. Before we dive deeper, smash that like button and hit subscribe, because what you're about to witness isn't just a clash of egos. It's a masterclass in dignity, strategy, and power. The setting was Electrican Elite Diplomatic Summit in Geneva. Lights blazing, security tighter than a drum, and world leaders lined up like chess pieces. The crowd was a blend of stiff suits, curious observers, and global journalists whispering predictions into their phones. On one end stood Donald Trump, towering, grinning, arms outstretched like he owned the room. He wasn't here to listen. He was here to dominate. Treating the summit like one of his fiery campaign rallies, he lobbed insults masked as jokes, each one landing with razor-edged precision. His target? India. With a smirk, he threw shade at India's economic policies, mocked its diplomatic decisions, and laughed. Yes, laughed at what he called India's dramatic overreactions to meaningless things. There was no mistaking the arrogance. He was poking a lion and daring it to roar. But the lion stayed silent. Across the room, under the glare of 1,000 flashing cameras, sat Prime Minister Narendra Modi, poised, calm, motionless, like a storm holding its breath. Dressed in his signature kurta, fingers interlocked, eyes steady not on Trump, but on the moment. Modi didn't need theatrics. He had something far more powerful. Conviction. To the uninformed, he may have seemed passive. But those who knew, the man his advisors, his allies, even his critics, recognized the stillness as a warning sign. This wasn't a man who had nothing to say. This was a man who was choosing when and how to say it. Behind closed doors, the Indian delegation was seething. And outside, social media erupted. Hashtags like #RespectIndia, #Modi vs Trump, and #GlobalSMACKDOWN began trending across continents. Influencers, activists, political commentators, everyone had an opinion. But one question hovered above them. All would Modi respond? And how? And then, in a single breath, he leaned forward, cleared his throat, adjusted the mic, and the entire room shifted. Trump leaned forward, gripping the podium like a man preparing to deliver a final blow in a long-fought battle. He tilted his head, flashed a half-smile laced with mockery, and began. You know, I've always said it's some countries, they just take and take. They love our generosity, our trade, our deals. But when it comes time to show support, to stand for freedom, for fairness, well, some just don't show up. He didn't name India directly at first, but his gaze darted toward the Indian delegation with surgical precision. The jab was unmistakable. He laughed under his breath. I mean, what exactly are we getting out of this relationship? Really? A few software engineers? A few tea imports? I think America deserves better. A ripple of laughter came from a few of his allies, but the rest of the room stiffened. It was more discomfort than amusement. Then he turned full face toward the cameras, voice rising with manufactured outrage. By the way, let's not forget India, the same country that keeps lecturing the world on values and sovereignty, yet they've refused to support basic initiatives for peace. Some might say that's hypocritical. He said it with a practiced drawl, as if the word itself was a joke. The shot had been fired. Now he waited. Modi didn't flinch. He didn't break eye contact. Instead, he adjusted his mic with a quiet steadiness and began to speak not loudly, but with a clarity that cut through the tension like glass-slicing silk. Mr. Trump, he said calmly, India has always believed in peace, but never in silence when dignity is under attack. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You speak of what America gets from India. Allow me to remind you, a democratic partner in the world's largest democracy, a strategic ally in defense, in innovation, in technology. You mentioned software engineers with sarcasm, but those very engineers built the platforms your citizens now use to connect, to learn, and to vote. The audience shifted. Postures straightened. Eyebrows rose. Modi continued, voice still composed. You speak of generosity as if it is one-sided. But generosity is not measured by who gives the loudest. It is measured by who stands tall, even in silence. He turned toward the wider assembly now, addressing not just Trump, but every nation watching. And let me be clear, India will never trade its sovereignty for a handshake, nor its values for a photo opportunity. Murmurs erupted across the hall. A few diplomats leaned in toward each other, whispering. Even some U.S. advisors glanced, nervously, toward their boss. Trump for a moment narrowed his eyes not in anger, but in disbelief that he hadn't shaken Modi the way he'd done with so many others. Modi then paused, letting silence underscore his words. We do not react to insults. We respond with facts. And the fact is our partnership should be one of respect, not ridicule. Trump tried to interrupt, half raising his hand as if calling for order in a room that wasn't his to control. Well, I guess you have your speechwriters working overtime, huh? He sneered. But Modi didn't look at him. He looked at the people watching both in the room and beyond. This is not a matter of speeches, he said. It's a matter of standing tall when your people, your culture, and your pride are questioned. We are here to collaborate, not to be lectured. That's when the subtle shift began. One member of the African delegation nodded slowly. A South American representative tapped her fingers in applause against her armrest. Even a few skeptical European diplomats allowed their expressions to soften. Back on social media, reactions exploded. Twitter trends flipped from mocking memes to sharp praise. Hashtag #ModiClapsBack surged to the top of global charts. A viral TikTok edit played the moment Modi said, India will never trade its sovereignty. Over dramatic music cracking up millions of views in minutes, Trump, sensing the shift, tried to regain footing. Look, nobody respects India more than me, he said, voice tight with a forced smile. We've done great deals. Tremendous. But let's be honest. Some people just don't pull their weight, and I have to say it. I'm just being real. The crowd wasn't laughing now. Modi leaned back, let the silence grow. Being real, he said, is not about being loud. It's about being truthful. And for the first time in the exchange, Trump had no quick comeback. The air had changed. Power had shifted, not with force, but with presence. And while Trump still stood at the podium, it was Modi who now owned the room. But that was just the beginning. What happened next changed everything. As the final words of Prime Minister, Modi echoed across the hall, being real is not about being loud. It's about being truthful. The silence that followed was deafening. For a long, suspended moment, Donald Trump said nothing. His hands, once so animated, now hung still by his sides. His expression flickered, disbelief, annoyance, then something else, ... Was it realization? The applause didn't erupt all at once. It started with a single clap, then another, then a wave. Delegates who had remained poker-faced throughout began standing. One by one, rows of diplomats rose to their feet, not in chaos, not in frenzy, but in solemn recognition of a leader who had just defended the soul of a nation without ever raising. His voice Trump didn't storm out. That would have looked weak. But something in him faded as he stood there, no longer commanding the moment. His usual deflections, fake news, witch hunt, they're all jealous, wouldn't land here. This wasn't a rally crowd. This wasn't Fox News. This was the world, and it had just witnessed a man get undressed by dignity. Modi didn't gloat. He didn't smirk, simply turned back to the mic, his voice quieter now, steadier, like a teacher concluding a lesson. That had been long overdue. In the end, he said, looking not at Trump, but at the audience now, the world, intelligence, merit, and truth always rise above arrogance and manipulation. The room was still. Eyes were locked on him. Cameras zoomed in. We live in a time where loudness is mistaken for leadership, where volume is mistaken for vision. But let today be a reminder to every young person watching: your voice doesn't have to echo off walls to shake the world. Sometimes, the calmest words are the ones history remembers. A murmur spread, not just through the room, but across the internet. Clips of the speech were already going viral. Reaction videos poured in. YouTubers called it a masterclass in diplomacy. Commentators on live news panels called it one of the most defining moments in modern geopolitics. Even critics of Modi, those often opposed to his policies, acknowledged the sheer finesse of his takedown. And what of Trump? He gave a short, disinterested nod, shuffled his papers, avoided eye contact as he left the podium without fanfare, slipping away into a corner hallway flanked by tight-lipped aides. No dramatic exit, no fiery rebuttal. Just a shadow of the bravado he had walked in with. The world had seen a man come to dominate and leave defeated by poised Modi. Meanwhile, didn't stay for celebration. As soon as the session ended, he exited the hall with his delegation, calm as ever. He had said what needed to be said, and unlike others, he didn't need to be the last one in the spotlight. And now, to you watching this moment unfold, not just as a headline, not just as gossip, but as history, we ask, do you think justice was served? Do you believe the world needs more voices like Modi's, measured, proud, unshakable? If you do, share this video, not just to take a side, but to take a stand. Because in a world loud with noise and ego, we need reminders of something deeper. That truth whispered with honor can silence the lies shouted with arrogance. Let's keep this moment alive. Let's hold the powerful accountable. Hit the like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe in standing up not for politics, but for principle, then share this video. Let the world hear the voice of dignity one more time.